Welcome to another episode of Wham Baam Gamercam, full of crazy car crashes from various video games. Grab your snacks, hit the like button, and enjoy. Chuna was driving about 40 to 50 miles per hour in Johnson Valley. Suddenly, a van driver in front of him drifted into the oncoming lane and crashed into a semi-truck head-on. Our submitter slammed on the brakes to avoid a collision with the van, but he lost control and collided with the truck instead. A full investigation revealed that the van driver had fallen asleep. Bart was driving his Volvo at high speed in the town of Furwood. He drifted into the oncoming lane after going too fast around a curve. Sadly, he then crashed head-on into an oncoming vehicle. Jer was driving his Gavril Roamer. Suddenly, he noticed a distracted SBR4 driver flying directly at him at high speed. Sadly, the end result was a brutal head-on collision. Jason was driving his Porsche 911 Spyder at high speed in Johnson Valley. Suddenly, he lost control and crashed into a power pole. His car wrapped around the pole, obviously totaled due to the massive damage. Landon was driving his supercar at high speed through Sandy Shores. While he was overtaking a slower vehicle, he didn't realize the driver was about to turn left. He hit the vehicle, flew into the guardrail, then launched into the air. After landing, he rolled several times before coming to a stop. Solar Fifth and his three friends were in a car when a speeder hit them during a turn. Neither rear passenger was wearing a seatbelt, causing both of them to be ejected from the car. Since this is only a game, take this opportunity to learn from it. Please, wear your seatbelt. William was waiting for a collision scene to be cleared that was blocking the entire road. After a while, another car rear-ended multiple vehicles, including William's car. Based on these images, we can tell there was a lot of damage, and the driver was probably exceeding the speed limit. That dude loaned his ETK to a friend. His friend was driving recklessly through downtown when he lost control around a sharp curve. He flew off the road before tumbling down a cliff, then rolled over multiple times, completely wrecking that dude's car. Halt was driving his box truck when he suddenly saw a G-Wagon driver who he thinks was drunk. Sadly, he was proven correct when the G-Wagon crashed into a stalled car on the side of the road. It then flew into Halt's lane, but since he was hauling a heavy load, he couldn't avoid a collision. His box truck was severely damaged and couldn't be repaired. Matthew was driving in heavy fog one night. Suddenly, he spotted another vehicle in his path. He swerved to avoid it, but he spun out and crashed into it instead. During the collision investigation, it was discovered that the other vehicle was stolen. Sadly, both cars were totaled. C was speeding through the city after a few too many drinks. He went too fast into a curve, lost traction, and crashed into concrete barriers. He was arrested and his car was totaled. The Chevy dude was driving his semi-truck southbound on I-5 when he suddenly encountered a Code 5 traffic stop. The trucker in front of him slammed on the brakes. He tried to avoid hitting the truck, but that's when he saw a car next to him. Sadly, he crashed into it before rear-ending the semi-truck anyway. Paul was driving his Civetta Scintilla on an Italian highway at high speed. When he approached a curve, he lost control and flew into the guardrail. His suspension was destroyed and the transmission was jammed, so he wasn't able to continue driving his car. Malachi was driving down a highway at night, headed home from a party. As he lined up behind a truck while exiting the highway, out of nowhere, a wrong-way driver crashed into the truck head-on, causing Malachi to rear-end it. Police responded and arrested the wrong-way driver. Our submitter's car was totaled, and his insurance provider paid him $60,000 for his car. Martin was driving on a highway in rush hour. He lost control while trying to overtake another vehicle. He spun out, causing a massive pileup. This submitter was driving on the Shutoko Highway when a car suddenly drifted into another lane where it sideswiped an Ibishu pigeon. The Ibishu flew into the left lane where a pickup truck was approaching at high speed. The pickup driver slammed on the brakes, but they couldn't stop in time and ended up rear-ending the small car. Tovu was racing in his Porsche when suddenly he hit a puddle of water and lost control. He spun out and ended up on the side of the track. After he got back on the track, he was T-boned by another racer, then by two more. Daniel was driving his ETK sedan in Belasco. He lost control while driving around a curve at high speed. He then spun out and crashed into a bridge support. Aiden was driving an Ibishu Covet on a highway while heading toward another country on vacation. Suddenly, a driver in front of him slammed on the brakes and Aiden rear-ended them. The other car was more damaged than Aiden's. It was later discovered that the other driver was under the influence of alcohol. James was at work and had left his car parked on the street. Suddenly, it was struck by a driver who'd lost control going downhill on an icy road. The other driver left a note for James on his windshield. Amazingly, fixing the damage only cost $978 US. This submitter encountered a pileup blocking both lanes inside a tunnel after a blind curve. Suddenly, a truck approached the tunnel and crashed into the vehicles involved in the pileup. The police responded and created a report for the various insurance providers. This submitter was driving his ETK down a highway approaching an intersection. Suddenly, another driver failed to yield to him. He was T-boned by the other car, spun out, and crashed into a street lamp before coming to a stop. Eon was driving his Kia Stinger in the city when a Ford F-250 ran a red light and crashed into it. Sadly, the Kia was totaled. James DB was drifting his Toyota Supra to earn some experience in Forza Horizon 5. Suddenly, he hit a tree with the back of his car. The impact sent the rear of his car into the air. Thankfully, he was able to land it back on the wheels. This submitter was driving his semi-truck in heavy rain and fog. He spotted another trucker who wanted to merge into his lane, but he thought they would slow down to let him pass. Instead, the other truck driver merged into his lane, hitting our submitter and pushing him into the guardrail. The road was very slippery, and our submitter spun out after hitting the guardrail. Brax the official was heading home from work one night. Suddenly, he encountered a disabled vehicle in his lane. Sadly, there was no time for him to react before he crashed into the vehicle. He contacted first responders. The repair bill was $4,000 US. Marcus was driving his Mercedes at high speed when his tires lost traction. He spun out, flew off the road, and ended up in a small lake. His car had to be towed out of the water. Philip was playing BeamNG Drive multiplayer when he stopped at a stop sign. Then, something crazy happened. An Ibishu Covet flew over him and crashed into a tree. That car must have been going at least 200 miles per hour, and I bet it was being assisted by rocket motors. Jamie was waiting at an intersection when a blue Mustang sped through it and hit two other cars. The wreck was severe, but Jamie doesn't know how much repairs cost or if anybody was injured. It sure seems like all the vehicles involved were totaled. John was racing in Grid Autosport. He was driving at very high speed when he approached a sharp curve. He slammed on the brakes, but there was no way he could keep the car on the track. He flew out of a curve into the sand, where he rolled over before coming to a stop. Want to win a Wham Baam hoodie? We're giving one away every week for 10 weeks. To enter, send a video in to our newest channel, Wham Baam Security Cam. If your video is used in an episode, you'll be entered in the giveaway. Then, make sure you're subscribed to Wham Baam Security Cam so you'll know if you win. Good luck!